the United States, like any actor, is going to want the outcomes that most benefit it, that most serve its own interests. And those are going to vary from country to country. The United States is obviously much less enthusiastic about the uprisings in Yemen or Bahrain than the one in Libya. On the other hand, at least none of us, at least I'm not privy to the policy circles that much, but the sense I get is that they seem to think that something is happening that's big and that can't really be suppressed easily at will. That this is a real fundamental transformation. There will be setbacks, there will be detours, there will be exceptions, there will be all kinds of caveats, but something fundamentally is changing in this region. It is a revolution, right? And the United States, historically in the Middle East, when it's been confronted with this kind of general region-wide upheaval, right, has in fact tended to try not to stand in the way, has tried to find ways of accommodating it or trying to channel it, or in the case of Pan-Arabs in the 1950s, they really rethought their entire Middle Eastern policy. So I'm not saying that the United States is just going to pursue idealistic motives. It won't, and it shouldn't. It should, in fact, pursue its own self-interest. But probably those self-interests will be interpreted in a manner that will be more or less recognizing, acknowledging that changes are coming about and trying to minimize the most adverse effect of those changes. There really isn't much more that the United States can do than that. This is a region it can't disengage from. It doesn't want to come into a complete hostile relationship to either. So it's going to have to find a way of working with what comes next.
Enrico, did you want to add? Enrico, did you have a comment?
I have a quick comment. I think that the United States, in a way, at least the international position of these different countries already played an important role in the different outcomes, because the fact that in Egypt and in Tunisia things were relatively peaceful and the military themselves decided that it was in their long-term interest to have a change of regime, or at least some political change, while in Libya that was not the case. It's partly dependent on local conditions, but partly depends on the very different position of these different countries and the relationship of their military or their establishment with the West and with the United States, because it's easier for Gaddafi to assume large cost and even the risk of a confrontation with the West, because he was already a pariah within that context up to a point, and he was certainly not facing the same, and the military would not have the same contact with the West or with the United States that people, the military in Egypt or in Tunisia would have. So I would say that the United States has already played, in a way, a positive role, indirectly, in Egypt and Tunisia, paradoxically maybe, because after all they were not really trying to top those governments, but the fact that those governments had a connection to the United States in a way make it easier to top them.